We're here with cheerleader Maddie Grant. She's a student athlete at LSU. Maddie, tell us a little more about you.
Hi, I'm Maddie Grant, and I'm from Fairhope, Alabama. I just turned 19, and I currently cheer at LSU, and I'm a freshman this year. And yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it.
How old were you when you started cheerleading?
I did not actually start cheering until my freshman year of high school. I actually grew up playing softball and did track my whole life. And one day all my friends were like, "Yeah, we're gonna try out for cheer." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try out too." And so then I ended up trying out and I ended up making the team and then I fell in love with it and now I couldn't have it any other way.
And how old were you then?
I had grew up tumbling my whole life because I have a twin sister and we always were in the front yard just throwing flips and stuff like that. And so I'd always like kind of like knew how to do some cheer stuff, but not like all of it. So I really didn't get into it till I was about 14, 15.
So when you started, how many times a week would you train? And what was it like? Was it in a group type of practice? I mean, I'm a former professional tennis player, as you know, and sometimes we train one-on-one, which is more of a lesson as we call it, but then there's also group training. So what's it like for you?
Yes, so during high school, I was a part of my high school's cheer team. And so we would always have practice after school as a group. And then normally after practice, I would go to like a private lesson where it was just one-on-one to kind of help get me a step ahead and prepare me for college.
What is your dream?
My dream, honestly, is so we compete in Orlando for nationals. And right now, our team's goal is to do good at nationals, win, and hit our routine. So, like, that's what our team is training for right now is winning at nationals. And that's like our main focus and goal.
What a great goal. And do you have a special schedule to get ready for that, or what does it
Yes,
look
so
like?
for nationals, our schedule is different than like our normal schedule. Instead of having just like one practice a day, we have two a days. And so like it'll be from 10 in the morning to 12, and then we'll have an hour break and we'll come back for 1 to 3. And that's all during Christmas break and up until nationals, which is in January. And so it's kind of just a little different because we're doing two practices instead of one.
So, talking about your dream, would you want to be part of the Cowboys?
Honestly, the Cowboys are incredible, but they're a little different. So they're more like dance than cheer because we're doing all the stunts and the flips and stuff. So we've had two girls from our dance team at LSU become Dallas Cowboys this year. They're on the team. And so like a lot, it's more like dancer based. So I feel like it's a little bit different for cheer. So a lot of our dancers actually go to the Dallas Cowboys.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
Before going to LSU, did you have to travel a lot for training or events? I mean, when I was a tennis player, I traveled so much all over the world. What about you?
Yes, so whenever I was training, I was always like, at first, I didn't know where I wanted to go to college to cheer at. So I was always going to different college cheer clinics and just different states to see what I liked best and figure out what I wanted to do because I had no idea. And so I feel like every other weekend I was in a different state at some cheer clinic or some like combine trying to figure out like where I wanted to go and what place fit me the best.
So, when did you find out what you wanted to do? How do you find out?
I figured out like mid senior year. So all of my family is from Louisiana and Baton Rouge. So I kind of like had it in the back of my mind. But my twin sister wanted to cheer too, but she wanted to do all girl and I liked co-ed. But LSU only has a co-ed program. So we were kind of looking somewhere that had both. And so we weighed our options, and then she ended up getting hurt her senior year, so she wasn't able to cheer. And so then that's when I was like, okay, then I want to go to LSU because I have all my family here. I just had so many like connections like through family that I was like, that's where I wanted to be.
Okay, so when you decided, um, did you reach out to LSU? I mean, did you recruit them or they recruited you? And was this you or your parents?
So I went to every single cheer clinic. They had three cheer clinics, and I went to every single one of them. And I just really got to know the coach, talked to her every cheer clinic. We were emailing back and forth. And then we had a few phone calls. And then she asked me if I wanted to go to one of the games for recruiting and like spend the day with the team and just like get to hang out with them to see how it felt to be an LSU cheerleader. And so I ended up going to the game and I got to spend the entire day with them, do everything they did. Like, and I was in shock. I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. Like, I had so much fun that game. Like, I remember telling everyone, like, oh my gosh, LSU is where I want to be, like, the second I walked in.
That is great. So for these big game days, what does preparation look like for you?
So on game days, depending on if we have a night game or a afternoon game, usually we have a night game. So for night games, we'll have a certain like call time where we have to be in our facility, and it's usually around 1:30. And so we would have to meet fully ready, hair, makeup, uniform at the facility, and we would start our warm up and we would just stretch out, do all of that fun stuff. And then after we warmed up, we would go to what we call like Tiger One, which is like basically like a miniature like pep rally. We walk around, do some dance and cheer for people and just kind of mingle with everybody. And once we did that, we would go back to our facility and we would warm up our pregame. And then once we kind of warmed up that in our facility, we would walk to the field before the game and warm that up on the field because we always did it in the end zone. So we needed to practice in the end zone to make sure we had our spacing right and all of that. So we would go do our pregame on the field. And then after pregame warm up on the field, we went and we did what we call a tiger walk. And it's like we start at the top of a hill and we walk down with the Tiger Girls, our dance team, and the band comes and we play our pregame song, and then all of the football players walk down and everyone's there. It's insane. Like everybody is there. It's like crowds everywhere. It's so much fun. So then after we do Tiger Walk, then we go back to the facility and we get a little pregame meal snack kind of thing. And then after that, we get ready and we walk across to the stadium from our facility. And then we go out on the field and we do our call in Baton Rouge, and then we do pregame, and then the game starts.
I'm sure lots of great energy.
Yes, it's
So,
crazy.
so on the tennis tour, we're always so competitive. I mean, when we train, when we compete, every moment we're very
Mhm.
competitive. What's it like for you? I mean, you're competitive with your teammates, or how do we understand that?
So I feel like as a team, we can be very competitive with each other, but at the same time, it's more of us working together to make sure like if it's not like only about one person, like everything has to hit for it to make it look good. So it's more of us like all working together to try and make sure everything is perfect rather than like competing for certain spots or anything like that. It's more like we work as one.
What is your brand?
So, as an LSU cheerleader, we love to like just make sure that we show off our school how it's supposed to be. Like, we believe that like we represent our team and those letters across our chest is an honor to wear. So, you have constantly many eyes looking at you and all these little kids looking up to you. So, we just want to be a positive impact on people and have a positive look towards everything. So that way, all these little children that are looking up to us, everyone that's watching us during the game can like feel our good energy and just feel that like LSU is a good place and home and family and that we are bonded together. So that way we have a positive model in everything we do.
With the NIL. I think this has been great for a lot of the athletes. How is your experience with that?
Yes, so LSU actually has a really high like in thing for NIL. Like LSU got on it really fast. So I feel like a lot of our athletes here have so many opportunities and it really just helps like show off LSU as a school and not only like show off LSU but show off the individual athletes that may not get a ton of recognition.
Yeah, Owen, I look forward to see your next Instagram post. I'm sure they're going to be great.
Yes.
So I'm interested to learn more about your training schedule. So tell us more about your training. What does it look like? What are you trying to improve at this part of your development?
So right now, since we are working on nationals, everyone is focused on hitting our certain skills needed for the routine. So every like our first semester, we had workouts from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. every Monday and Wednesday just to get us in shape. And we would run a mile every single practice or do sprints, just depending on the day. And then we would have practice from 5 to 8 every single night. And that kind of just helped get us prepared for these national practices and help us work up to the hardest skills we can get for our routine to hit.
So 5 to 8, that is 3 hours. So what does
Yeah.
5 to 6 and 6 to 7 look like? So how is it divided, these sessions of training?
So normally at the beginning of the year during football season, we would work on our pregame skills for like the first hour or so. And then from like 7 to 8, it's more of like working on cleaning up the skills that we have prepared. So, like working on all of our pyramids, making sure they're perfect, making sure the baskets are clean and high, and making sure our stunts are solid so that way we can put out a good routine for our pregame and help prepare us for nationals to make sure our skills are clean and we're not just throwing stuff up there and making sure it hits at the top and just making sure everything's like super perfect so that way for nationals, nothing bobbles or falls.
Yeah, very interesting. Lots of repetition, I'm sure.
Yes, a lot of repetition. The more reps you get, the better your stunts will get.
As a successful cheerleader, any advice you want to share?
Honestly, I would say put your mind to it because if you don't have the drive and you don't have like the willingness to do something, you're not going to do it. So you just have to make sure that like you stick with what you say. Don't put anything negative into your head. Like don't sit there and be like, I can't do this, I can't do that, because then you're just telling your brain that you can't. Always tell yourself that you can do something, even if it's hard. You just have to put in the hours and put in the reps so that way you can make it happen.
And the coach plays a very important role in this, but it also has to come from the athlete. It depends on you.
Hmm. Your
Yeah.
coach can't just tell you, oh, do this, do this. You have to have the want to do it.
Being in a team, sometimes a team member may have a very good day, or maybe one team member may not have such a great day. So you really have to learn also to motivate the rest of the team or
Yes.
bring the team up with you, or because you can depend on who has a good and bad day, or what do you
Yes.
think about that?
I think that everyone has good and bad days, but it's your responsibility to make sure that your teammate does what they're supposed to do. So if they are having a bad day, you go over, have the talk with them, hype them up, make them feel better about themselves, make them know that they can do this.
Mm.
And I feel like that just helps motivate everyone else. So the more motivation you have, the more you are willing to help another person that's having a bad day. It just shows your character and kind of just helps boost the whole team's morale.
So talking about good days, bad days, and all this training, what had used to help me a lot was thinking about the next big event. So if I knew, oh, I need to get ready for this event, that would help me a lot. And I imagine the same applies to
Yes,
cheerleading.
I agree. Like thinking, oh, we have this show off coming up. We have to make sure our routine is good because we don't want to go out there and put out a bad routine for people. And people be like talking about us and say, oh, did you see LSU's routine? So having like a goal for each week kind of helps. Like, oh, we need to make sure we hit this for this show off. Next week we have this. We need to make sure it's good for this, that kind of thing.
I wish you the best of luck and thank you for joining Winning Voices.
Of course. Thank you for having me.